Welcome to National Focus. I'm Kerdisha St. Louis. Coming up, a special report on the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, a look at the historic COP21 climate change agreement, and DOWASCO's general manager urges the public to prepare for the 2016 dry season. Stay with us for details of these and other stories after this. Thanks for staying with us. General Manager of the Dominica Water and Sewage Company, Bernard Etinoff, says the next step for the company in 2016 is upgrading water pipes across the country. He made this statement in an exclusive interview with the GIS News last week.
The next step for DOWASCO is to find money to make the systems more permanent. As I indicated, many of the systems are just temporarily restored. For example, in the Wesley Woodfile Margot area, one of the large water areas, we had to use pipes that are not as durable as the pipes that were there before. In other words, we use high-density polyethylene pipes compared to the ductile iron pipes that were there previously. And those we know cannot withstand the rigors of that particular system. So very soon we would be doing new designs and embarking on discussions with government and so on to see how best we can replace the pipes to more permanent pipes and to ensure that the systems are more robust and can withstand the pressures.
He notes that significant work is to be done specifically in the West Coast area following the damage caused by the passage of Tropical Storm Erica.
We had just completed the West Coast project at a cost of about $24 million. That is phase 1 and phase 2 of the West Coast project. That was funded by the EU. And the Kerdisha intake has been completely gone, the Kerdisha system completely gone. And so we have to reinstate that system to have the West Coast efficiently served. Government is now doing its best to ensure that the storage tanks, that was phase 3 of that project, are implemented and are installed. And that will bring some relief to the people, because once you have adequate water in storage, something happens, then you can still serve the people.
Meantime, DOWASCO's manager wants the general public to do their best to conserve water, as reports indicate that a drier than normal dry season is expected this year.
This is something that we have to gear ourselves to in Dominica. The predictions are that we're going to have an extended dry spell, pretty dry spell as well, very dry because of the El Nino effect that is affecting the area right now. And so our advice to our customers is that all of us, we have to find a way to store some water, and to conserve, because one could have water in storage and just waste it, but we have to conserve. It's one of those times that we really have to conserve. We felt the impact of T.S. Erica, and at least that should have taught us a lesson. So because of climate change, what is happening now is you have some very dry spells, extended dry spells, and then you have heavy rainfalls for maybe short periods, but excessive in terms of the volumes that fall over a short period of time. And so it's not business as usual. I mean, it's a worldwide phenomenon. It's something that we have to manage, something that we have to live with. And so we are advising people to always try to have some water in storage.
Honorable Parliamentary Representative for the Lapland constituency, Peter Seja, says infrastructural damage to a section of road leading to Victoria in Dalis will be addressed. The Lapland MP told GIS News that over 40 feet of roadway caved in due to the collapse of a culvert and has prevented vehicular access to that part of the community.
Of course, quite naturally, given the fact that in order to get the people to access the rest of Dominica, we had to focus attention on the Boetica bridge crossing. But the Black Star area in Victoria remains a major problem for me and the residents of Dalis. But quite understandably, given the limited resources that we have, we had no choice but to give our full attention to Boetica. Having overridden the problem at Boetica, in the coming weeks and months, we will, of course, attempt to address the problem in the Victoria area in Dalis.
Honorable Seja reassured residents that efforts will be made to regain access to Victoria.
It is not just the Lapland constituency of Boetica Dalis but we have a national challenge that was created by the passage of Tropical Storm Erica. But indeed, it is a problem here for us, and like I said, in time, the government of Dominica will address the problem that exists in the Victoria area.
The Honorable Laplaine MP says he remains committed to enhancing the lives of his constituents.
I give again the constituents of Laplaine, that is Delis, Bredica and Laplaine, the firm undertaking and commitment that as long as I am their PAL rep and as long as the Dominica Labour Party is in power, that we will address the issues that confront our people, not only as it relates to access, but in housing, in education, in sports, in all areas of life, the problems affecting the elderly. The Dominica Labour Party and Peter Seja as PAL rep, we are committed to addressing the challenges that affect this constituency and, of course, the country on a whole.
There are major plans ahead for the Ministry of Tourism. That's according to the Honorable Minister for Tourism, Senator Robert Tongue. The Honorable Minister told GIS News last week that his ministry intends to collaborate with other departments in an effort to enhance the sector.
The intention is to improve and increase on the intensity in terms of the implementation. We'd like to see things implemented a bit faster, so we will definitely be working with all the other ministries to put these things in progress and to get them completed. A lot of times we are fully responsible, so again the whole thing is to have good advocacy with the other ministries, and I can say so far the relationship with the other ministries have been very fruitful, and we're looking towards seeing more things implemented in 2016.
The ministry is expected to pay a lot of attention to training of tourism service providers in 2016.
We realize it's not just the tourism related facilities that are being judged. So if you go to a pharmacy, if you go to a restaurant, if you go to any institution that one touches has to provide the best possible service, even down to the taxis and even the passenger buses, because you may have a visitor going in a passenger bus as opposed to they too have to receive good service on those buses, otherwise it definitely affects us. So we want to see more training so that persons know what to deliver, how to deliver, even in terms of how to interact with the various visitors, because the way you interact with a visitor from the UK may be slightly different from that of an American. And even for vendors to understand who are the visitors and what they like, what they don't like, so that if if a particular visitor does not like arts and crafts per se, then you don't want to waste your time and come and put your full set of difference. So we have to provide them with that type of information to help better guide them, and even provide additional training. We have to maybe retrain the vendors in terms of arts and crafts, so that they provide more of a unique product as opposed to the product that everybody's seeing throughout the islands.
The Honorable Minister made a special appeal for the reduction of indiscriminate littering across the island.
We ask the people to be more mindful, because litter doesn't appear by itself, litter doesn't grow by itself. Someone has to throw that on the ground for it to become litter. And as you can see, through the advocacy of the Ministry of Tourism and others, litter is on the foreburner now. Of all, knowing that we have to do something about it. So the various ministries are working together to put plans in place to reduce that.
In more news, after several years of grappling with the idea of climate change and several conferences to strategize ways of dealing with the issue, 195 countries developed a legally binding agreement that zeroes in on the way forward for dealing with this phenomenon. Kimani Seja reports.
As the year 2015 came to a close, over 190 nations came together to chart a way forward to deal with one of the major issues affecting the world today, climate change. In December 2015, at the Paris Climate Change Conference, COP21, these countries adopted a historic, universal, legally binding global climate agreement. The Caribbean region was well represented at this forum as the islands voiced their concerns for the survival of the region's people. Rising global temperatures will lead to rising sea levels, which will inevitably wash away coastal villages and bring economic hardship to Caribbean people. The region has already begun to experience the worsening effects of climate change, and the most recent will remain imprinted on the minds of the Dominican people. The unassuming flood waters of Tropical Storm Erica, which washed away 90% of the country's GDP and claimed over 20 lives on August 27, 2015. The world's countries have come together and spoken on matters of climate change before. So what makes this just concluded COP21 different? Well, this global climate deal sets out an action plan to set the world on course to avoid the deadly effects of climate change. Developed countries have committed to limiting global warming to way below 2 degrees Celsius, even at an ambitious 1.5 degrees Celsius. Let's take an in-depth look at the key elements of the Paris Climate Change Agreement as outlined by the European Commission's Climate Action. The first key element is mitigation, reducing emissions. Governments agreed to a long-term goal of keeping the increase in global temperature to below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels and to aim to limit the increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius, as this would significantly reduce risks and impacts of climate change. They also agreed on the need for global emissions to peak as soon as possible, recognizing that this will take longer for developing countries and to undertake rapid reductions after in accordance with the best available science. The second key element is transparency and global stocktake. Governments agreed to come together every 5 years to set more ambitious targets as required by science and to report to each other and the public on how well they are doing to implement their targets. They also agreed to track the progress towards the long-term goal through a robust transparency and accountability system. The third key element is adaptation. Governments agreed to strengthen society's ability to deal with the impacts of climate change and to provide continued and enhanced international support for adaptation and to developing countries. Key element number 4 is loss and damage. The COP21 agreement recognizes the importance of averting, minimizing, and addressing loss and damage associated with the adverse effects of climate change, and it also acknowledges the need to cooperate and enhance the understanding, action, and support in different areas such as early warning systems, emergency preparedness, and risk insurance. And the fifth key element is support. The developed countries will continue to support climate change action and to reduce emissions and build resilience to climate change impacts in developing countries. Countries are also encouraged to provide or continue to provide such support voluntarily, and finally, developed countries intend to continue their existing collective goal to mobilize $100 billion a year until 2025, when a new collective goal will be set. These are the general agreements made in the Paris Climate Change Conference. What does this mean for small developing states like Dominica? On his return from the conference, the Honorable Minister for Health, Dr. Kenneth Darrow, said he believes that the COP21 was for small island developing states. The minister was pleased that after decades of grappling with the idea of climate change, the world had finally acknowledged its existence and damaging effects and came to a concrete agreement on the way forward. The agreement is due to enter force in 2020. For GIS News, Kimani Senja.
Thank you, Kimani. You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
It is time to break the silence. Child abuse is one secret you should not keep. For more information on child abuse or to report suspected cases on child abuse, contact the Social Welfare Division on 33 Great Marlborough Street or call 266-3020 or 266-3080.
Welcome back. The nations of the world have agreed to work towards the achievement of 17 Sustainable Development Goals known as the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. Jana Hector brings this report.
A new agenda to guide leadership on the global issues of poverty, inequality and climate change was launched and adopted at the United Nations on September 25, 2015. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development comprises 17 goals known as the Global Goals, which aim to end poverty, hunger and inequality, take action on climate change and the environment, improve access to health and education, build strong institutions and partnerships, and more. The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, build on the Millennium Development Goals, which the world committed to achieving by 2015. Since the MDGs were adopted in 2000, enormous progress has been made, but more needs to be done. The SDGs have a more ambitious agenda, seeking to eliminate rather than reduce poverty and include more demanding targets for health, education, and gender equality. The agenda also includes issues that were not in the MDGs, such as climate change, sustainable consumption, innovation, and the importance of peace and justice for all. These goals will guide policy and funding for the next 15 years. Eradicating poverty in all its forms remains one of the greatest challenges facing humanity. While the number of people living in extreme poverty has dropped by more than half, too many are still struggling for the most basic human needs. The Sustainable Development Goals aim to end all forms of hunger and malnutrition by 2030, making sure all people, especially children and the more vulnerable, have access to sufficient and nutritious food all year round. This involves promoting sustainable agricultural practices, that is, improving the livelihoods and capacities of small-scale farmers, allowing equal access to land, technology, and markets. Chronic and catastrophic disease remains one of the main factors that push households from poverty into deprivation. Non-communicable diseases impose a large burden on human health worldwide. Currently, 63% of all deaths worldwide stem from NCDs, chiefly cardiovascular diseases, cancers, chronic respiratory diseases, and diabetes. This goal ensures that all girls and boys complete primary and secondary schooling by 2030. It also aims to provide equal access to affordable vocational training and to eliminate gender and wealth disparities with the aim of achieving universal access to a higher quality of education. Empowering women and promoting gender equality is crucial to accelerating sustainable development. Ending all forms of discrimination against women and girls is not only a basic human right, but it also has a multiplier effect across all other development areas. Water scarcity affects more than 40% of people around the world, an alarming figure that is projected to increase with the rise of global temperatures as a consequence of climate change. Although 2.1 billion people have gained access to improved water sanitation since 1990, dwindling supplies of safe drinking water is a major problem impacting every continent. Between 1990 and 2010, the number of people with access to electricity has increased by 1.7 billion. And as the global population continues to rise, so will the demand for cheap energy. A global economy reliant on fossil fuels and the increase of greenhouse gas emissions is creating drastic changes to our climate system. As the global economy continues to recover, we are seeing slower growth, widening inequalities, and employment that is not expanding fast enough to keep up with the growing labor force. According to the International Labour Organization, more than 204 million people were unemployed in 2015. Sustained investment in infrastructure and innovation are crucial drivers of economic growth and development. With over half the world population now living in cities, mass transport and renewable energy are becoming even more important, as are the growth of new industries and information and communication technologies. Widening disparities are a call for action that require the adoption of sound policies to empower the bottom percentile of income earners and promote economic inclusion of all, regardless of sex, race, or ethnicity. Making cities safe and sustainable means ensuring access to safe and affordable housing and upgrading slum settlements. It also involves investment in public transport, creating green public spaces, and improving urban planning and management in a way that is both participatory and inclusive. The efficient management of our shared natural resources and the way we dispose of toxic waste and pollutants are important targets to achieve this goal. Encouraging industries, businesses, and consumers to recycle and reduce waste is equally important. There is no country in the world that is not seeing firsthand the drastic effects of climate change. Greenhouse gas emissions continue to rise and are now more than 50% higher than the 1990 level. Further, global warming is causing long-lasting changes to our climate system, which threatens irreversible consequences if we do not take action now. Over 3 billion people depend on marine and coastal biodiversity for their livelihoods. However, today we are seeing 30% of the world's fish stocks overexploited, well below a level at which they can produce sustainable yields. Human life depends on the earth as much as the ocean for our sustenance and livelihood. Plant life provides 80% of our human diet, and we rely on agriculture as an important economic resource and means of development. The Sustainable Development Goals aim to significantly reduce all forms of violence and work with governments and communities to find lasting solutions to conflict and insecurity. Strengthening the rule of law and promoting human rights is key to this process, as is reducing the flow of illicit arms and strengthening the participation of developing countries in the institutions of global governance. The world today is more interconnected than ever before. Improving access to technology and knowledge is an important way to share ideas and foster innovation. According to United Nations Development Program Administrator Helen Clark, quote, "This agreement marks an important milestone in putting our world on an inclusive and sustainable course. If we all work together, we have a chance of meeting citizens' aspirations for peace, prosperity, and well-being, and to preserve our planet." End of quote. The Sustainable Development Goals must finish the job that the Millennium Development Goals started and leave no one behind. For GIS News, I'm Jana Hector.
Thanks, Jana, for that report. And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non, moi c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, peuple de l'État soulagement si l'on court en Erika, qui était bien dommagé un point qui est très important pour la communauté là. Quand même si l'on travaille avec le Parlement, honorable Peter Saint-Jean, un bon point finalement bâti en l'occasion là. Honorable Saint-Jean visité le projet là semaine passée.
Présentement, nous avons de bout en Gorge là en Boetica, la ministre Public Works pour temps qui passé, c'est qu'un travail bien ouais pour si nous ça mettait un pont en place. Et bon matin là, il y a vraiment plaisir pour de bout ici et pour être derrière moi, nous ni pont Boetica en place. Et moi je veux dire, moi je veux oui merci Premier ministre là et aussi ministre Ian Pinard, ministre Public Works et c'est engineers là et technicians entre ministre Public Works, contracteurs et tout le monde peuple Boetica et Délice puisque vraiment il prend en leur patience, en leur travail web et aussi en leur l'argent pour nous faire travailler ça là. Puisque nous avons qui en Boetica c'est yon ces places là en Dominique après cyclone mauvais temps Erika qui était plus difficile pour gouvernement faire travailler ça là. Mais nous comptons que l'avant Noël, ça c'est le 24 décembre, finalement nous mettons pont en place et peuple Délice et Boetica ça naviguer même quand tout le monde a fait en Dominique.
Honorable Saint-Jean, oui merci peuple Délice pour passer ça yo.
Moi, je veux dire, peuple moins en Délice, en Boetica, qui Moi vle oui merci yo pour patience yo puisque pendant itinyon lo moun tout en Dominique et aussi en délice botika en délice botika qui te ka essayer faire ces moun sa yo faire bagay qui nous pas supposé faire puisque nous pas tini fumer là yo debout avec moi et yo prend patience et jour du jour nous qui patience nous kaban nous ça nous te vle ça c'est pas botika. Moi vle vous merci tout le monde qui travaille et puis nous et pour faire nous comprendre qui bon bitin qui prend temps pour venir et nous restons ici en Boetica. Et jour du jour, même quand 50 l'année qui passait, les chimères arrivaient sous des pays là, en la plaine de Luce, Boetica, Rosalie. Jour du jour, nous n'y prenons ça là, et peuple moins en délice Boetica. Ça fait travail, ça navigue, même quand tout le monde a fait en Dominique.
À la nouvelle, ministère pour les Affaires jeunesse, Honorable Jocelyn Charles, qui a assez Dominique pour une harmonisation bâti pays là, et puis mettre politique et puis religion à ses côtés. Honorable Charles fait parole pendant l'organisation Dominica Ontario, fait présentation $75 000 Canada pour le gouvernement oui bâti pays après Erika.
En année 9 là, nous avons gardé pour nous continuer à vivre en l'amour, pour nous continuer à vivre en la paix, pour nous garder pour comment nous ça aider Dominique développer. Dominique t'est affecté hot Erika avec nous savent même si avant nous t'est affecté nous savent là nous tant travailler en pays là pour faire monter que les qui en les dominicains pour y mettre toutes ces différences là, différentes politiques, différentes religions, toutes des différences là ce côté. Et c'est pour nous catcher Dominique c'est pour nous même développer. Avec si moun en diaspora ça fait ça yo qu'a fait pour aider nous. Nous Dominique c'est pour se mener tout il faut nous ensemble pour nous make sure nous ça développer because si nous habiter monter que les ouais en année ça là gouvernement même que commence que continuer faire tout travail li prime minister Skerrit nous savent qu'à travail ouais là il sorti Dominique doi les cap on holiday mais là il sorti c'est pour comment il ça raise l'argent pour nous en Dominique so il y a des idées là qu'a fait ça avec as gouvernement nous que continuer faire tout ça nous supposé faire pour développer un pays là mais nous les qui en les tout dominicain because tout le monde ça fait quelque chose pour développer. So on nous si nous ça mettre toutes ces différences là à ce côté et voir comment nous ça développer comme un pays là.
À la nouvelle, gouvernement Dominique bien plaisir pour assistance et qui continue à recevoir pour bâtir pays après Erika. Parole celle-là sortie au ministre planning, honorable Dr. John Colin McIntyre.
Je dis mon cas nous bien content avec ces bails ça moun qui ka dominicain qui ka rester à l'autre pays. Yo comme tu dis yo bien sérieux avec ces bails ça qui tout le monde Dominique bien sérieux ça. Là nous n'y a problème, c'est moun ça ka venir ensemble avec yo ka ouais comment yo ça lever l'argent, faire l'argent pour tout aider Dominique avec Jordi c'est un séjour. So moi tout ça c'est mon alone, moun qui fait hot Dominicain and Dominique ka rester à alone. Moi dit bien merci pour ça yo ba nous Jordi avec l'argent ça nous que servir pour bien cause. So moi ka dit merci en pile pour ça.
Et puis finalement, Festival Comité Dominique a créé à ce public-là pour un support pour Carnival l'année 2016. Parole celle-là sur l'officier DFC Val Coffee.
Nous les supporter tout le monde Dominique l'argent, nous les l'argent. Nous les l'argent pour faire carnaval. So nous pour mener l'argent pour supporter Queen, pour supporter Kaiso, supporter tout ça nous qu'a fait. Si nous prenons l'argent, nous pas faire rien. Nous tenons Erika Vini, Erika Ali. Actuellement, nous carnaval, nous les l'argent, tout sponsor vini fait si vous avez gros ça fait ça. Si vous avez ça fait ça nous comme nous les supporter carnaval Dominique.
Messieurs mesdames, ça c'est toute bonne nouvelle en créole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson Saint-Louis. Au revoir.
Tips to help you keep your New Year's resolutions coming up next. Here are some tips to help you reach your New Year's resolutions goals. Make a plan, set goals, and start small. Get yourself pumped up to make the change. Reflect on your root causes, find a support network, make yourself accountable, and celebrate each milestone and then reward yourself. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/GIS News Dominica and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I'm Kerdisha St. Louis. Thanks for watching and join us again next time on National Focus.